Hey, it's Neil Parfit here. Welcome to video number 33, working with the ER-301 sound computer. Today, OS 0.2.21 was dropped, and there's a few little tweaks to it, which I found kind of interesting. Mainly, the tap tempo unit, the width control can now be modulatable, or modulated. So the tap tempo unit, you basically feed it a tap. You can either trigger it manually like this, or you could put something in there like a sine wave or like an external source, and it basically just creates a pulse on the output. And notice if I adjust the width, it just changes the pulse width of that square waveform. But what I found interesting about this module is that if you speed it up fast enough, it actually is just a square wave. So if we tap this at audio rates, we could actually use this tap tempo as an oscillator, because currently there isn't a square wave oscillator. Maybe there will be one in the future. But in the meantime, we can cheat. So what I've done in my admin area, global chains, I have a sine wave oscillator called S. And I basically just have my keyboard controlling the pitch of that. And what I'm going to do is feed that tap tempo, that global chain. And I'll show you why I'm doing this in a minute. It'll all become clear. So I'm going to assign the tap to a global chain. So instead of inputs and locals, I'm going to go to globals. There's S, that's my sine wave. And you can hear it come up to speed. And check this out. So if I now modulate, or if I now adjust the width, we're getting that pulse width control. So being able to modulate that's great, because we can get some movement in the patch if you're making a drone or something like that. So I'm going to do that. And instead of doing it here directly, I'm going to make a global chain again. Let me just turn this down. I'm going to go to admin. I'm going to go global chains. I'm going to add another mono chain. And we'll call this... let's call it PW for pulse width. And I'm just going to make this really slow moving. I'm just going to add a sine wave in here. And where is that? And I'm just going to slow this down. So it's just like a nice slow kind of thing. And I'm going to set the pitch of this sine wave oscillator to my mod wheel, which I believe, and we can check on the meters, is A3. Yeah, you can see me moving the wheel up and down right there. So I'll choose that. So now we have a global modulation source that'll speed up or slow down depending on how high my mod wheel goes. So let's try that. Let's go back to our tap tempo. Let's go to our width modulation source. We'll go to input assign. We'll go down to globals, and there it is, pulse width, or PW. And you just have to make sure your gain is set to something beyond 0, so it actually applies it to this fader. And let's hear what that sounds like. And you can sort of see it. So I'm just going to go into the globals for a second. Oops. Just a little bit more. I just want it to be a little bit more messy. I guess it's okay. So here's where I thought it got a little bit interesting. So one update ago, Brian's introduced a way to sort of copy, cut, paste units, and you can also encapsulate stuff into a mixer. So let's say I want to dump this in a mixer. Like, let's say I wanted to have more than one of these so I could create a stacked voice. Before, you'd have to go in here, you'd have to save a preset, and then manually add another tap tempo, and then reload the preset. And it was a little bit cumbersome, and Brian came up with a great workaround, or not workaround, just a new great feature. All you have to do is, let's say I wanted to copy this unit and put it in a mixer. You hold down Shift and then you just rotate the encoder, and notice how it's sort of selected it. And as soon as I let go, it says 1 marked unit, tap tempo. And at this point, I can choose to copy, I can cut, or I can move to a mixer. So what's interesting about this is, if I go move to a mixer, it's dumped that whole thing into a mixer channel. So now our tap tempo is in here. And what I just selected could have been 8 units, 2 units, whatever. In this case, just a single unit. So now I have all that stuff I just did self-contained in this mixer. So now I can actually turn this down here. A little bit of gain staging. And now here's where it gets interesting. So let's say I just want another one of these. All I have to do is just hold down Shift, move the encoder, let go. I can go copy, and then I can decide to put another one right here. And now I have 2 of those tap tempo oscillators in mixers together. So at this point, let's say I want to make 2 more. Instead of copying each one or pasting each one, I could choose to hit paste twice to copy 2 of those and paste them, or I could hold down Shift, lasso both of them. I'm gonna go copy, and then I could decide to paste that right there. So now I have 4 of these tap tempo oscillators together. And what I discovered today for fun, so let's say I have 4 of these. One interesting thing I found with the tap tempo unit is this division. And using it as an oscillator, we can actually use this as a sub-harmonic generator. So I can go into each one of these copies of the tap tempo and adjust the division. And we're getting this pretty wide sort of voice. I can add a I can add an odd number here to throw it. Pretty thick sound for four voices, and if I speed this up, that global chain with the sine wave is affecting all of them. So a pretty thick voice. And if we go down to admin, set the switch all the way to the bottom, our CPU load is only 10%. So that's pretty cool. And I mean, of course, because they're all within mixers, I can choose to balance each one of these however I want. It's a pretty wide sound. If this was a stereo channel, I'd have pan control over each one of these mixers, so you can create these really big sort of washy sounds. But yeah, I thought this video was kind of useful just to show the copy paste, copy to mixer sort of thing, and just another way to use the tap tempo unit in a non-tap tempo kind of way. And here's another thing. So because you can nest chains on the 301, I could say, you know, I love the sound of this patch the way it is with these mixers, but I don't want them on a main level like that. I want those all self-contained within another mixer. So you could literally just hold down Shift, lasso all 4 of those, and you can see they're all selected. And I could say move to mixer. And now that entire patch is dumped into this single mixer. So it's kind of cool what you can do. If you decided you wanted this in a custom unit, you could make a custom unit here or wherever. What is that? Fickle jock. Okay. At this point, I could say, okay, I don't want that mixer there of my sound. I'll lasso it. I'll say cut. So it's pulling it out of there. I can go into my custom unit. Oops. Into my custom unit, and then I can paste it in there. So yeah, some tremendous workflow improvements just with that copy, cut, paste, and insert or move to unit function. It's great. And I just can't believe how much time it's going to save and how much easier it will be to create complex patches that have a lot of similar parts that you used to have to manually build all the time. Now it's just a matter of pasting what you had and tweaking it, which is awesome. So I think I was rambling, but there you have it for video number 33. Take it easy. Bye.